take again?
All of,
this chair was a
like,
bad
probably
idea.
3 people will judge you.
Hey man, we got like 30-something viewers on the last one. For a collective watch time of 300 and something minutes. Which means they all watched like 10 minutes. Welcome to the Apex Strengthcast with your hosts, Tyler Seabrook and Anthony Krasner. Today we have former powerlifter Bastian Ferris on. He's a very old friend of ours. We all got into training together. We're going to talk about training partners. We're going to probably pay him out a little bit too much. And you might see a live breakdown. As always, this Strengthcast is brought to you by Apex Strength. Strength training for everyone.
Ooh, that's definitely the best one yet.
That was good. I'm proud of that one.
You should just record that so you can just put it at the start so you never have to do it again.
But then we mention you every single podcast.
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
I think that's what made it better. Was just like the like jabs. There was like 3 jabs within that.
Yeah, we can't do that to like everyone else that comes.
This is
They're
gonna
like,
be
dude, I
cool.
just met you. I'm like, yeah, man. Like, all right.
Yes. So Bastian, Anthony, me. I think we all started training around similar age. We started training first, but
And then I
once
stopped,
he was
and that's
out.
when you started training with Bastian.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I stopped at 18 because I was working like
So
70 hours a week.
What was the programming Bastian started doing?
Are you
together?
talking about when you started together? Because when I wasn't helping you, because
No, hang on,
you
no,
were on the
okay.
max out every week program.
Right,
and squat
no.
once
Oh,
a
you
month.
mean-
No,
You mean the
we were
cube?
on the progressive. But this is before the cube, so we were on the progressive overload. Like
you weren't on a program, you
It
just-
wasn't
I
a
just told you
program.
to
It
up
was
the weight
just
every week.
it was just progressive overload.
But that
up
was
the
much
weight
later.
every
We're
week.
going way too ahead.
No, this is early. This is early. This is early days.
No,
It was
man,
early
this-
days. Dumbbell benching and deadlifting and squatting once a month. Yes,
yeah,
that's
but
right.
you didn't do that till I moved to England. You trained together before that, right?
Yeah, we trained when I was fresh 18.
Yeah, so you trained together beforehand. You would have just done bro splits.
What age did you?
I moved 21.
Oh, well, from your perspective, Bastian, what did we do when we first started training?
When we first started training, you ran the program for the day. First real time I actually did anything normal, well, by standards, because all I was doing back then was just like running on a treadmill, watching what someone else did, and then would copy them later on.
I remember.
You've all done it, don't judge me.
I'm judging, man.
And that's what I did. That's when I was just learning my own stuff and just doing my own thing. It was very random stuff, but we ran through I think a standard chest day, which was just basically like what we did all the time.
Can I just interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
This is the issue. We know Bastian, right? So Bastian's one of our best mates. We haven't done a service here. We haven't introduced you properly.
Oh.
So Bastian is someone I've coached now for years. He's one of our best mates. Him and Tyler trained together really early on when they started. He's a strong guy. He's a 120 kilo lifter. Well, he was a strong guy. And so what, with a 265 kilo deadlift, a 250 kilo squat, and a 150 kilo bench. What's your biggest in comp? 147.
Yeah.
Yep, but that was easy.
Yeah.
I remember that one because it was like a 5 kilo PB and it looked like a warm up. And I was like, ooh,
That was a good bench.
we undercut him.
You did 150 in the gym like a week later.
And like real easy.
Yeah.
So he's a strong guy. He's trained now for several years. He's had battles with a lot of things, physically and mentally. So that wasn't a jab. And
Would've been a
you
good
know,
spot
he
for one.
always ends up pushing through and coming out on top. So if later on we might touch on some of that. At the moment, he's just started a new job, so he isn't training consistently, but he's getting back into it in the new year as he's going to come up and compete with us 120s at Nationals in June. So we got a good 6 months, and we'll whip him back into shape. So again,
default last.
strong guy. No, I know some other 120s are competing. You'll be right.
Let's name
Is
some
that-
names,
is that
shall
me?
we?
No, the battle for the 400 Wilks continues.
So yeah, Bastian, he's a strong guy. He's trained for ages, and someone I've coached now since I came back from England. So 3 years I've coached Bastian for.
Oh,
Yeah.
So now that gets into how you
What-
start.
so
with-
like,
sorry
where
for
did that
wasting
time
your
go?
Yeah, so I remember moving to England, right? I'm telling you, this is when you started training properly, like linear periodization and everything.
Yeah.
And I called Tyler, and I was like, dude, I have something revolutionary. And Tyler's like, what? I'm like, man, you got to start lower weight and do lots of reps and up the weight every single week.
that's sorcery.
Yeah. So they're like, Tyler's like, yeah, but man, I got to go backwards. I remember because you were like, oh, but I'll try it. And then
No, because I was like, you know what? Like, because we did it. Like every single week,
I know,
without
I
a doubt,
remember the
twice a week.
conversation,
We dumbbell benched twice a week and deadlifted twice a week. and we increased by 2.5 kilos on each lift. And I remember we were getting like to the point where we got all the deadlifting like 160s, and it was like, oh my god, like I could never do this before. But just that progressive like overload, eventually, you know, your body adapts and you get stronger.
We were squatting like 80 and it was impressive.
And I love it. Just we squatted once a month.
So I remember Bastian, you jumped up to like a 220 deadlift. Tyler, you jumped up to like 180.
Yeah.
And then I remember coming back from England and they're like, oh man, we're real strong now. We did a session together. Then you guys, I saw your deadlift and I was like, oh no.
When was that?
That was 2015.
Oh, was that when you came deadlifted Genesis?
Yeah, and like you guys look like candy canes.
And you were doing like 260.
Yeah.
For reps, 250 or 260.
Yeah. That would have been just when I came back.
Yeah.
And because everyone was like, oh my god.
Yeah. That's when I was like, dude, I'm doing 250. I'm so fucking strong. Yeah, I remember. So then, when I came back from England, is when I kind of helped take control of the training more and form, but you guys then started on the cube method, right? Something a bit more structured. Up until that point, you weren't on a program, you just upped the weight consistently.
Yeah.
And you'd still do like random bro stuff. And then it was when I came back, we talked, I was like, dude, I've been on a program, because remember how much I gained in that time. I went from squatting like, 180, 200 to 270 in like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Suspicious.
And my deadlift jumped up because I got on proper programming. So then you guys got on proper programming, and it was all. Well, I mean, I say proper programming. I'm saying the cube method, but it was something. It was
some kind of structure. You know what it was? It was.
But
But you know what the difference? It was structured like accessories and stuff as well. So that's what. When we were just doing linear and just upping the weight every week, it wasn't structured in terms of what else we were doing. The three major things were the dumbbell bench, the deadlifts, and the V bar rows, standing rows.
T-bar rows.
T-bar rows, yeah.
Yeah.
With probably terrible form.
Yeah, back in the day.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
We were talking about like how we both like basically threw our backs out.
Do you have video of your deadlifts? Because I want to put them on Instagram as a promotion for this.
I don't consider.
I've got them all, and I'm waiting for the right time.
Like when I become successful,
when we're both like, I don't know, world record holders. That's what.
Man, I still don't like looking at videos of me lifting from like 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was like looking at the ground, squatting on the way up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm so strong. And like getting my hips so low in the deadlifts, and then my hips would shoot up, and I'd like stiff leg it, and I'm like, yeah, I wonder why I hurt my back on 300 kilos.
Yeah, it's funny. I wonder if there's anyone who looks back at their training and be like...
Everyone does, man.
Yeah, but looks back and is like,
satisfied.
oh my god, I'm like satisfied with my form.
No,
there's no chance.
It's like the day you start lifting is the day you'll never be happy with the way you look.
Oh, yeah. And you just... And then if you ever are, then you've lost the battle.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there goes the drive. There goes the drive. Like.
Yeah. So anyway, we've introduced Bastian. You know, he's a good guy. All the guys at the gym know him. It's mainly people from the gym that watch this. Thank you. We love you. So you guys know Bastian. Today we wanted to talk about, one of the things we wanted to touch on was how important training partners are. So we're getting into that a little bit before, but definitely I'll let these two take over a bit from here. But, so when I was in England, I moved there, and straight away I remember I said like Ross and everything, I got in with a bunch of powerlifters, and Ross had benched like 210, 220, and then we all trained together, pushed each other, right? And that's kind of what you guys did here.
Well, that's talking about the importance of training partners.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You may never got into powerlifting if it wasn't for those guys.
Yeah, like I was into strength training before, but it wasn't powerlifting.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get stronger, right?
You may never ended up in, I don't know, natural powerlifting, for example.
Yeah.
Like there's a possibility.
I think at the time, if I had gone to a gym that was full of, and I've said this before, full of juices, I probably would have jumped on.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have been drug free.
Yeah, because being naive, it's so easy to do that, right? Yeah.
Everyone's like, everyone's doing it. Because I remember when I started training, I was like, oh, when I squat 220, I'll do steroids. And then I did 220 after like a few months. Or like 2 months, I was like, maybe I want to do 250 because that's the natural limit. And I did that. I'm like, maybe like 280. I did that. And then I was like, maybe 300. And I did that. I was like, oh, you know what? Like maybe I just won't do them.
Nothing like motivating yourself with the promise of steroids if you get strong enough.
But unfortunately, you've never reached that level, Bastian.
I'm already on peptides.
Yeah, but it's like, Timmy, what's going on?
Hey, mate.
Yeah, it's It's so true because you look at like gyms with that kind of culture and like how many people jump on just because it's in the culture of the gym. So, and so many motivational people in that gym convince people to do it.
Yeah, that is a bit of an issue. That's how it always ends up since it's starting.
Closer to the mic.
Sorry, man. I didn't realize I get this close to the mic.
Yeah. So that was your experience with training partners, and then you got into a PA comp when you came back. I know in England you did your first.
I did IPF comp over there.
IPF, yeah.
GBPF, Great British Powerlifting Federation.
Did you say you weren't allowed to win or something like that?
Yeah, and break the records because I wasn't English.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I did 737 total first comp? I think that was the record at the time.
And that's just the same for us, I assume, here?
I have no idea, man. I haven't actually looked into it.
That's interesting.
But yeah, they just said, yeah, you can't break it because you live here. So, which is fair enough. I wasn't upset. I mean, look, they were junior records. It's not like it matters.
Yeah, I guess a national record, you have to be a citizen of that nation.
Yeah.
Like that,
it's like Jezza doesn't have the super heavyweight squats here.
Yeah, even though he has done it here. Yeah.
But yeah, so let's get into you guys and how you decided to start training together and, you know, what you really use to motivate each other. I'm going to let you two talk about this here because I was overseas for this whole time.
Yeah.
I still remember this story. I remember because I was training beforehand. I think when I was like 17, 16, I was 105 kilos, never having actually really gone to the gym or anything like that. No muscle at all. I dropped weight down to about 72 kilos from 105.
Doing what?
I was actually doing a lot of boxing and the gym work I mentioned before where I would run on a treadmill for a long time, watch some guy put his weight down, then just mimic exactly what he did. And that's all I did. Wasn't even proper sets or anything like that. And eventually I just started learning more and more things. But I remember we got together. We found we had a mutual love for training.
Before we jump into that, but didn't you do some kind of structured kickboxing for some time?
I did boxing for about, I think, 2 years and all that.
Yeah, I think that's like important in terms of like you were into some kind of like fitness or like.
No, it's an extreme fitness thing to be in. Like with boxing, it was it's intense training for what it is. Like it's a good way to lose weight. I would say that.
Yeah, well,
I lost a lot.
So you dropped down to 78, was it?
72.
72. Oh my god.
Yeah, I lost over 30.
This guy's 6'3", dropped to 72 kilos. That's crazy.
I look good.
Yeah, I remember you were like lean as.
I look as good as you could if you looked sick.
So, so I met when and what was it? Your birthday present? I bought you.
Yeah, my birthday present. You didn't even buy me a casual gym membership. You paid for half of it.
That's true, Fred. But that's when it was still like $20 a week.
That was $20.
Come on, man.
It was kind of just like,
yeah.
I
wanted to pay like.
I just met the guy.
That's really what you pay. How long did you pay half his membership for?
No. That wasn't a membership. That was one casual.
That was just a casual. Yeah.
You paid $10 for a present. Okay, that's a lot worse than I thought.
No, but I just met him.
No, we knew each other for a few weeks.
Yeah. So I just met him and I was like,
"You cheap motherfucker!"
I was like, "Yeah, man, come to the gym with me. I'll pay half your." Yeah. So he makes it sound worse than it was.
It's pretty bad.
All right, so yeah, you got into training. You went to this casual together. Let's
did the casual together.
Get this going.
And I remember you weighed 78 at the time.
Yeah, so
that's because you were a bit heavier. Yeah, you were 70, but you already put a bit of muscle on because you already started training by that point.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I weren't 6 kilos of muscle or anything like that, but I stopped the extreme dieting and stuff.
Yeah.
To keep the reason I was so light is because I was trying to remain a weight class in boxing as well.
Oh yeah.
That was why as well. So I think light heavyweight at the time was 81. So I went up a bit heavier to be a bit heavier in my weight class as well.
Yeah.
At that point.
Imagine you're trying to be 81 now.
Heavyweight, 81 kilos
light,
is a heavyweight.
Light heavyweight.
That's all the difference.
Yeah. I think 81 to 100 is heavyweight, and everything above that's super heavyweight.
Isn't that crazy?
I remember my dreams were shattered last year when Cal Potter from Renegade was like joking about being in the UFC. He's like, "You couldn't, you're too heavy." I was like, "Ooh, like their cap's like 120 or something."
Yeah, you could now.
75. Yeah, I wouldn't go there and just take the belt. Like,
right now, imagine you go in, you head first like Brock Lesnar.
Bro, I'd mess that guy up. How much Brock Lesnar squat?
Yeah, well, let's see what he looks like on top of you.
His ground and pound's amazing.
So yeah, well, we started training together. You were I was 82, and you were 78.
You haven't gained anything in this whole time.
I know now I'm 86 and you're 100 and...
So, you were both
My
skinny
choice.
boys.
I'm 120 by choice. Just want to make that clear.
Bastian was skinny, and then you started training.
Yeah.
And you just started broing out.
Yeah.
Like chest once a week.
Pretty much like what everyone is. Arms, chest, and for some reason deadlifts.
Arms, chest.
We've all been there.
Arms, chest, and back, and there's nothing I'm forgetting there.
Yeah.
What was it about the deadlifts? Why did we deadlift so much but not squat? What
Because
was the
squatting
reason?
hurt for a long period of time after doing it. Mostly because with squatting, we would... I remember you would give me something ridiculous, like we would squat, then do like leg press, and we'd just do everything that involved legs in the gym, which made walking uncomfortable.
It's that whole old
So it
school
wasn't even
bodybuilding style of training. It's that like you do all legs and then like all back on one day. And
Yeah, but you guys didn't do legs once a week.
No, but
Yeah,
it's
but
just
when
because it
you
hurt
did
too
do
much.
It hurt. And we worked the same job, and we would just look at each other in pain, and we just complained about it, so we thought it was better to just leave it alone. Never do it again.
And when we started deadlifting twice a week, obviously we're not going to be as sore because we're doing it consistently.
felt good.
This is what
I
we
bet your
did.
spine was pretty sore. I've seen the videos, guys.
Surprisingly not. Well, no, neither of
My
us got.
lumbars are crazy.
Neither of us got injured. Actually, got a funny injury story because this is so ridiculous. You already knows what it is. Bastian's first injury training with me.
Oh, no, not that.
Sebastian's first injury training
You
with
better
me.
tell him how heavy it was.
So even with all that trash form deadlifting and
Some say
All the
might,
terrible-
Some might say you still do.
all the terrible T-bar rows, that hurts, man.
All the injuries that should have happened.
We also used to do calf raises. And
Extreme calf raise.
again, we went with the mentality of like putting more and more weight on, but we're doing like reps like 25 and 30 with like 140 kilos. And admittedly, it wasn't a Smith machine, so it was guided. But somehow, Bastian slipped.
Because I'm obviously so sweaty. If you're watching the YouTube, you'll see that I'm constantly wiping my face with sweat.
Yeah.
So I'd sweat onto the plates that we were using, and the plates were slippery. And as I did it, I slipped my back. I was wearing a belt too for calf raises.
So, he
bizarre.
threw his
There's
back
so much
out.
wrong with this story.
Well,
guys.
I was actually able to calf raise more than I was squatting at the time.
He threw his back out calf raising. Like, I just don't, like, that's
a
so
man.
ridiculous. Yeah.
It wasn't fun. I'll say that.
I remember I had to drive you to
I'll let you finish your workout too.
Legend.
All right. So, then you got on the cube together.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to push this along because we're getting stuck on one little like thing that, and they're like,
Well, it's like injury through calf raises.
But no, but the people are gonna be like, yeah, dude, we get it. You did arms like once like you did
yeah.
the squat. Then you got onto a program together. So what is it about training with each other? Something I really want to know for you two that, you know, what is it about you two explicitly that made you push each other?
This is it. Because, we didn't have the motivation of, like, competing or, like, certain, like, competition numbers. We didn't have any of that. But this is what it was for me. And I don't know if you feel the same way. When people don't feel like training, they just won't train, right? When it's all good and well after New Year's, when you're like motivated and you're train for a month. But when it gets to that like winter months and you're like, I can't be bothered. Bastian was that other person like, no, let's go. And then when he'd feel that way, I would be in the mood to go. And so just hopefully that both of us wouldn't be in the mood to not train, because then obviously we wouldn't go, right?
Yeah, we didn't go.
But usually speaking, one person would want to go and the other person wouldn't, and it'd motivate the other person to go.
It's like getting a coach, someone that keeps you accountable.
It was keeping us accountable.
Yeah.
It definitely was, because we were going so consistently. I remember like,
you know, things you don't want to disappoint the other person.
yeah, that's it as well.
You're like, he needs a spot for his 30 kilo dumbbell bench, like, you know. Like,
Yeah, because we're probably like spotting the
shift and weight,
50s.
like-
Hey, if I didn't have a reliable spotter, who knows what could have happened on that calf raise?
so
So
keeping each other motivated and accountable.
motivation and accountability, because before you are competing, and it's just strength training, so it wasn't even particularly for physique either. It was like, what's the motivational factor, and like that was definitely it.
And for you, Bastian?
Oh, that was actually spot on. That's
Yeah.
what it used to be. It would you could always tell because it would reach a certain time of the night, and Tyler hadn't sent me a message. And I'd be like,
That's what I was trying to
"Gym tonight, man." He's like,
I'd be sliding under the radar. I just wouldn't message him, and then
Yeah,
he'd be
man,
like,
of
"Hey,
course.
when are we going to the gym?" I'd be like, "This motherfucker."
And it went both ways, and I was like, "Oh, he hasn't messaged me. I guess it's a night off." And he's like, "Gym tonight." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, right." Guess it's happening.
Yeah, I remember.
That's
those.
it though, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
That's a
what
big
you need.
thing.
That's
And-
what, like
Oh well, it's a huge thing. Like even because we went to the gym consistently at the most peak hour every single time, we would see groups of people who start up together, same as we did, and you can see what a good training partner is with a bad training partner, especially someone who's motivated as well. So one thing that would happen was, this was actually a group of people I did know. There was it started off as about 5 or 6 of them, and slowly dwindled down to 2, and then just 1.
yeah,
And
the
then
one when I got back from England, he got really, really fat, and he's like, "Bro, I'm on the juice. I'm like 12% body fat."
Oh.
And I'm like, "All right," and he pulls up his shirt, and he's got this gut, and he's like telling me how many steroids he does. He's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Nothing, man." He's like, "No, what do you want?" It's been like a year and a half of my good programming. I'm eating like 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day, and I'm training my fucking ass off every day. At this point, I was on Chico doing extra days as well, and I wasn't programming for myself, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm just training my ass off." And he's like, "Oh, all right." So he pulls up his shirt. He's got this gut, like not like a belly. It was like a gut, and he's like slapped it and it jiggled, and he's like, "Yeah, I had some beer and pizza last night. I'm a bit bloated." And I'm like,
Yeah.
Pizza every night.
bloat. You had pizza and beer every single fucking day for the past 2 years, haven't you?
That's what
And
it
he's
is,
like, "No,
yeah.
I'm 12% body fat. I'm just bloated." Is
I
the group you're
remember.
talking about?
I remember who you're talking about.
That wasn't the group, but
Yeah.
a lot of the group, it's like that too. A lot of the groups did that too. You just saw people come in, and then they just see them dwindle all the time, and that was the difference. Like we never went bigger than 3 or 4 people, and that was like more of a guest for us. Like we had Anthony come in, or even with Sean, we had someone come and train with us that night, and
or Ken.
Yeah, even Ken was another big one. He came in a lot.
Yeah.
But it was always us two, so it was always just us. So like we had the
People knew,
bond?
and it got to the point where people, when one of us wasn't there, it'd be like, "Oh, like where's the other guy?"
It was real suspicious. Like you thought one of us had quit or something serious had happened.
Yeah,
So-
legit. If he wasn't there, someone would be like, "Oh, where's the other guy?" Like it was like we're there that often together.
It still
It's
happens
good, man.
now.
It's like good, like lovers. You train together,
Train
you eat
together,
Couples that
eat
train
together,
stay together.
It's the
sex
perfect
together.
relationship.
Hey, we did used to eat together too. You used to go to Nando's beforehand and shit
It's
together.
the perfect relationship.
Yeah.
I'd
I'd like to
yeah,
announce our
it's good.
marriage.
I think that's true though. Like when we started training, we'd train together, but I'd go in the morning and do cardio and that as well. But there were people there that I do cardio with, like Steve and that.
Yeah.
So I always had someone I train with. And in England, I had like Ross and everything, but then the guy I really trained with was Potsy. His name's Chris. And every session we go in and he got on Chico too, and we'd go in and do the same workout. And every single night, like we'd train for like 3-4 hours together. And I'd be like, "Oh man, I'm not feeling good," but he'd come in, he'd be like, "Oh, you right, Ant? You ready to bench?" And he's like, he's squatting like I don't know, I think he's squatting like 140, 160, but he's benching like 180 something at 80 something kilos.
Yeah.
And he's like in his late 30s, but he always just rocked up exact same time, always trained. And or if he didn't rock up, I'd be busting his balls like, "Hey man, where are you?" Because I didn't want to train without him because we pushed each other so hard.
Yeah.
So we started doing stupid shit like seeing who could pause 160 kilos for the longest. And so I think we got to like 12 seconds, and then
Competition's good.
This is where
Yeah,
he gets
friendly
his
competition.
sadistic training for his clients.
yeah. Well, I don't make you guys do anything I don't do. Like I just squatted 230 for 15. Like I'm not. When
meant to
I
be
put
20.
Huh?
It was meant to be 20.
No, it wasn't. It was just an AMRAP.
That's what you wanted.
Yeah, that's right, man. You come talk to me when you can do it for one.
Goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think
At least you have done it
I
for
think
one.
training partners and training environment are very important, right? And good training partners make the environment.
Well,
And, someone to
not
push
just
you.
that too, but solo training is like I know a gym is full. A commercial gym is filled with mirrors everywhere, and it's only so good. Like they're only so useful for so many things. Like you can't when you're bench pressing, unless you're filming yourself, you can't
I think
see
in
what you're doing.
powerlifting, mirrors are like a detriment, man.
They're
like,
detriment.
You see people throw their form off because their head's doing weird shit, trying to look at themselves.
Yeah, like a training partner, just in general. Just like it helps to have someone who can see. Like it's like with a coach. A coach gives you cues and can tell you what you're doing wrong right there and then. Whereas you can't see that until you either look at your video.
So we use like telling each other to round so much on deadlifts. I don't know what you're telling.
Yeah, I was like better positioning, round your upper back, round it,
round through the middle.
I told you my lower lumbar is so strong now.
Jerk your head back.
Yeah.
But it did help to have that, because also there's nothing. At the end of the day, you can only say one more in your head so many times, like for a bro out. Like until you've got someone else that.
Well, you need someone to help you get those all you reps on bench, right?
Yeah.
Oh, at least we weren't like that.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
We were never. If you couldn't bench it, then you'd stop. Like it wasn't like.
And then you guys like trained together. I remember you did your first competition together.
Yeah, the fitness expo.
We went off program together as well.
This is what 20.
You were there,
Early 2016.
Yeah. Oh god, that was ages ago.
Yeah.
April was the first comp.
Fitness
Expo. I still remember that. Get thrown into a comp with like 100 people looking at me, and I was like, Anthony, you didn't say.
Like 400, 500.
I like to make it smaller in my head so it's less intimidating.
You like PTSD.
Yeah, I was like, don't worry about it, man. First comp, it's good. It's the International Fitness Expo. Oh, don't worry about that guy squatting 400. Like, you go out there and you do 200.
I didn't even do 200.
Actually, I didn't come last in my division.
Yeah. Were you 73?
No, I was 83s.
83,
yeah, I was 82.
Oh, you dropped because
I was 82.3 or something.
No, I was 105.
Now you guys have gone, because of work, separate ways and everything with your training.
Yeah.
So now we train together every session. Bastian, how do you say train?
Trader.
Oh, trader.
Trader.
How do you find motivation now that you don't have a consistent training partner?
A lot lower. Like I've tried to, whenever I can have someone to go with, I would just sort of say, like I'd just ask someone if they wanted to go. And it did help. Like being by myself is one thing, but also I didn't have a training partner, but I had people at the gym that I did train with. And they were there at the constant times that I always am. But even before the new job, their hours changed as well. So every time I went there, only guy I knew was the cleaner.
Yeah.
And then at the time I was going, he was only there for a little bit. And it's not like he's doing his job. It's not like I'm there to hang out with him or anything like that. And it was just extremely hard. Like,
and still is, right?
Yeah, it's still very difficult because all you have is your headphones.
Like, I think for me, I'm very lucky in the way that even though it's easy to train with someone that's like-minded and everything, I'm very self-motivated in powerlifting, like, because I always want to beat. And not being arrogant, but most of the time, unless I go somewhere like Melbourne Uni or another big powerlifting gym, I'm usually, even back in the day when I started, I was usually like one of the bigger lifters there, especially in a conventional gym, right? A normal gym.
Yeah.
So like, I think for me, it's always been, I've never had to have that heaps of friendly competition to be motivated, and I've never struggled training on my own, right? So like, I can go down to the local gym and smash out a session and not worry. Sometimes I might just need to lift out of a spot. But a lot of people aren't like that, which is why coaching's so good for people, training partners are so good for people. And that's not a good or a bad thing, because I think I actually struggle to train in bigger groups because I get distracted and talk so much.
Yeah.
So I'm better in smaller groups. Whereas you're probably the opposite. Do you have any ideas of how you're gonna overcome that and change that?
Well, that's a good question. Like I said, the biggest thing is just sort of, once I'm sort of down there, I do like my music as well. I'm not too fussed with just being by myself as well. Like I said, one of the biggest motivations is going, the spotter is gone, and it does suck as well. But I find the biggest thing, probably one of the biggest, it's a way of distracting myself and socializing, but it's probably one of the worst things I can do, and that was to be on my phone during training. So like if it's this changing from your music and stuff like that is all one thing, but once you jump on a social media outlet, anything like that, the training completely slows. And I can tell because there would be certain things where I'd set a timer on my phone between some accessory sets to try and get them done, get it out of there, because it can be a long time sometimes. And I'd find the second I open up an app, my timer's already going off, and all I could think was, without that timer, so much time was going by, and I was at the gym for a lot longer than I wanted to be, just to try and find some social aspects because I was at the gym alone.
Yeah.
I'm just so glad that I don't have that issue. Like, I actually don't like using social media or being on the phone when I'm at the gym.
Yeah, but even then, like, I don't think you're a massive social media user anyway.
Yeah,
like you go on it way less than me. Like, so something I struggle with heaps. I've had to have an app that'll lock me out of my phone certain times because I just can't fucking put it down.
It's an addiction.
Yeah, like legit, and it's something I'm very honest about. I'm like, I'm glued to my phone all the time. It's a real issue. I'm the kind of person that starts stressing if my phone's gonna go flat. I'm like, fuck, what am I gonna do? Like, and then it goes flat, and you don't think about it. But I shouldn't be stressing if it's going flat, right? So that's something I've been working on heaps. I've actually, like, the last week, I've been getting to my sessions in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Granted, you know, it's because I'm smashing out the accessories fast. The actual main work takes the same amount of time. But, you know, yeah, you're right. Like, that whole on the phone and does kill motivation as well, though, because then you're on there for 10, 15 minutes, you've cooled down, and then everything feels harder, and you've got to get back into, and you've got to get the arousal back up.
The momentum.
Yeah, the mental arousal's got to come back up, and it's hard to do when you're already feeling burnt out from halfway through a session, right?
It also distracts you. It can sometimes bring in the negative problems you can.
It can throw you off.
Well. So all it takes is a text to ruin a work shift or a gym session or even a day.
A text you like someone said something not good or something that's annoyed you.
It's a lot easier to read that sort of stuff afterwards, unless it's important, of course.
It's amazing how much a culture's changed, though, hey, because like I remember when we started training at like 17. Remember Steve?
Yes.
So if we ever put out our phone, now he's a big unit. And we ever put out our phone, we'd be like, get off your fucking phone. You'd be like, oh, yeah, all right, man. Like, can you put your phone back?
You crush your hand.
Yeah, because he'd just be like, what the fuck are you doing? You're here to train. You're not here to text. And that, like, and now it's changed where everyone's just on their phone all the time, right? Something we're telling our lifters now is get through your session in a reasonable time. Not because I want to get out of here. No, it's not anything against you. But, you know, an accessory day shouldn't be taking you 3 hours. You should be in and out in an hour. Like, you know, a main day, especially in your off season, you're not in your comp, shouldn't be taking you 3.5 hours. You should be in and out an hour and a half. Like,
it's definitely a bad habit that our society in this day and age is, it's becoming a nuisance. Yeah, and it's not just in training; it's in everyday life.
Yeah, like, and this isn't picking on other
people. People are doing
it
at work.
Yeah, like, and I'm really bad for it. I drive. I just did it today. I drive, and I'm like. And then I'll be like, why the hell am I on Instagram? I'm like operating a vehicle at 100 kilometers an hour.
This is why motorcycles get killed.
Well, I
can't use my phone when I'm
riding. That's not a bad thing.
No, I can't edit that out, right?
Yeah, I'm just joking.
I'm
just joking, Dean.
But you know,
watching my story to see if I'm out for a ride. You're like,
I'm like, where's my phone?
But like, or people Instagram stories when they're driving. Like, what are you doing, man? Stop talking to your phone. Like,
if you see that, send it to their insurance company, please.
Yeah. Again, I think, and in regards to training, though, I think you're right. That's a massive motivation killer.
But I thought it was a good way to fix my problem. Like, and the worst part is a lot of a lot of training and stuff. It's a lot easier to keep that on your phone than it is to keep it in your book. So I think that even a motivational thing too is because I like to see my lifts throughout the whole day. Like, I need to see what weight I'm doing to mentally prepare for it. And like, I wouldn't even mind just going back to just pen and paper, because the second I open up my app or whatever for my training, that's when I see Instagram or I see Facebook, and you just want to have a quick look at it, and it's a huge waste of time. One of the mentions is actually a couple, because with me and Instagram, I've actually killed my battery, and then I've lost my music, and I've definitely lost all motivation to keep going. So
it's amazing how reliant we are on like music and shit.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's commercial gyms. The music is usually not what you want to listen to as well. So it's not even like relying on music; it's relying on music you like. Listening to music you don't like is just an absolute buzzkill. So I have to think of a way to sort of push that out, because unfortunately I don't get to train until at least midnight now. Whereas there's only other people there are the exact same kind of tradies that leave work or leave whatever they've done, because everyone's wearing high vis at that time at night. And then there's training. So, but the problem is, like, I see these guys coming in groups together and stuff like that, but I'm nowhere near that.
Do you think and this isn't calling you out, do you think you've just kind of lost the motivation for the sport and for lifting because, I don't know, maybe you're more complacent in other aspects of your life, in your work and everything? You see a lot, something as a coach a lot is, say someone like a lifter gets in a relationship, and not all the time, but a lot of the time, they're training tanks. And what happens is it's because they're really happy in that aspect, and this is no longer important now.
No, it's very true. Love does ruin gains.
I hope Dad doesn't listen to this podcast.
I mean, it's the thing is when you get a relationship, like all of a sudden,
that was just
so
an
much,
example.
Yeah, other parts of it is like so much time is obviously allocated to the relationship from that point forward, which usually would be dead time that you would train in. Because everyone's still got basic things they need to do, like work, and most people work.
But that's
like
the thing,
so many hours a week.
And the way I put it to people though is, you don't just look at it as something. I mean, you don't need to do powerlifting, but being physically active is good for you. It's not something like you make time for. It's not dead time,
and you shouldn't be doing it for other people.
If you're working and you shouldn't be doing it for other people. That's a big one. But if you're working 6 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, and you're too wrecked after work, go to bed early and get up at 4. And train till 5, then get ready, go to work.
Oh, and sort of saying like that, I'm pretty sure Mark Wahlberg gets up at 2 a.m. just get in all his training and not to mention everything else he does in his daily life.
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
Can we get a reference for that, please?
It wouldn't surprise me though, because his schedule would be so
But that's the thing, like, right? Is you've got to fit it in somewhere, and that's why I'm kind of very unsympathetic to people that are like, oh, I don't have time. Like, I'm like, dude, you're working 40 hours. You're not working 80-hour weeks. You're working 40 hours. What are you doing all the other time? Oh, well, I need to watch TV for 6 hours a day. Oh, well, there's your issue. Or I need to relax for 6 hours a day. Well, no, you don't. You can relax for 4. You can train for 2.
I think I saw something like that. It said you're not making time for it. You're using that time for something else. It's like at the end of the day, if you want to choose to sit down and watch the latest season of whatever you're watching, that just means you've put the latest episode as a higher priority than your training.
Let's put it into perspective here. Like, so there's 168 hours in a week, and a third of that you're probably sleeping, which is only 55 hours or 50 something hours of that. So you do have time, but it's about making time.
You can't tell me people can't put away 4 or 5 hours to train a week. You don't need to do these big 3-hour sessions.
Don't need
that's what I'm saying.
That's the issue. If you're putting on an extra 12 hours, it's a big difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference, but
to 4 hours.
You don't need to do that. And this is something I've said to you recently. Is like, dude, we can get you in and out of the gym 45 minutes. Like, it's not going to be the same. You're not going to obviously be at the same level as you were when you're doing 2-3 hour sessions, but you can be strong. Something like a lot of people are coming to realize, you don't need to commit 12 to 20 hours a week to powerlifting training. And
so much of that time's fluff.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You get in there, you fucking smash it out for 45 minutes to an hour. Don't sit there on your phone. Don't go on social media. You train with good intensity, and you get really good results. And you tell me you don't have 4 hours a week?
Yeah.
Like,
because you can actually get your programming changed in accordance to that. So, like, you may not be able to hit the same percentages as someone else who's there for 3 hours, but you still could get, like, the same.
The thing is, you're not going to come to 8 sets at 80-something% in an hour.
No.
But you come in, you'll smash out 3-4 sets of 60-something%, a lot higher volume, right? And you're golden. Then you do a couple accessories, you're out. You're in and out. Like, there's no reason.
It's just a different style of training.
Yeah. There's no reason 4 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 10 should take you more than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think also one of the biggest issues, like, this is the reason why I'm potentially stuck at a commercial gym at the moment with a new job, because my work hours are in the Apex gym that's beyond their hours, unfortunately. I work during their open hours and I finish when they're closed. So I'm stuck at a commercial gym. Luckily, I do have a 24-hour gym. But at the same time, I say that it's a bit late to go at night, but there's always the option of it's never too early to go during the day. So I could go in the morning. I could do a 6 a.m. training session.
100%. I think it's just about getting that motivation, though, right? Is that like when you're like, okay, everything's been thrown out of whack. And, like, again, I think I can be quite unsympathetic to people in that situation, because I'm like, I just do it because I love what I do so much. But it is hard to put something new into your schedule, especially when it has to put you out. But, I think, and this is something that you will realize again, is it's only hard for the first 2-3 weeks.
Oh, it always is.
It sucks. And it's something I told you a few weeks back. I went, first few weeks, man, you're going to dread going. And then it's just going to be another thing you do. Again, right? And it doesn't need to be a big deal. Again, you go in there 40 minutes to an hour. Like, you can just go in there. It's just about getting into the schedule again, and that's what people don't like, right? Because it's a bit uncomfortable. It's hard, or, like, I don't get to relax for as long.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things, right? You want the results, but people don't want the work. And people don't want to be inconvenienced. Like, you find what happens is like everything kind of, for someone to do really well, unless they're really driven, again, I say it's like myself, like I don't skip training, you don't skip, like, you know, a lot of, some of the people we coach are very self-motivated, right? But I think that's not super common.
Well,
so people train really hard, but only when it lines up perfectly for what they can do, right? So when they can finish work at 4 or 5, come in and train and go home, have the feed, like as soon as they have to change things around a little bit, it becomes an inconvenience, and they're like, oh, I can't be bothered today because, you know, I'm going to be put out.
I think a good example of that is that, like, I wasn't always this motivated. Like, now I've got to the point where if I miss a session, like, I'm disappointed. Like, I'm not happy, right? Where in the past, I'd miss a session, I'd just be like, oh, you know, whatever. But I didn't recognize the importance of not missing sessions. But something we'll go on talking about before, the atmosphere, right? How important atmosphere, how good it was training in peak times. Because it is motivating training around people who are motivated. People, like, the atmosphere of the gym is important. And
when you
so
go
I think
there
a good
at night,
I think for you and for anyone who's training where like dead time in the gyms, I think like another good way of avoiding that social media hole and also being entertained is listening to podcasts while training. Like that's actually
plug your podcast.
Yeah, I'm like, I know this.
You could listen to the Apex Strengthcast.
Yeah, it's awesome
I'll just go to the
podcast.
gym and listen to myself talk for the whole time.
Yeah, we
Because,
have
you know-
41 YouTube subscribers now, so you can say we've made it.
So I find that like music can only go so far. So like,
Yeah.
you know, it can get you through your compound, like, and your heavy lifts, but then like arousal only to an extent, like, and then you're like, all right,
yeah.
I'm over
Pretty
it now.
aroused right now.
Like
I'm over it.
with the music and stuff, I tend to go very heavy, and then I would go to probably the most relaxed playlist for the rest of the session, just because there's no point listening to heavy metal, you know, while you're sitting there lifting silvers, because you got to do your shoulder work and stuff like
And
that.
that's the
Like, I'm not
thing,
super
like-
hyped for that sort of stuff. I'm just relaxing at that point.
Where I think, there's a good combination of keeping you off social media and also entertained. I like, and I actually haven't even like had to do it because I happen to be in a gym with a good atmosphere and people and we talk to each other. Like, barely anyone listens to headphones in this gym.
Yeah.
Everyone, it's music out
Yeah,
loud.
when someone does, you're like, they must be in a bad mood.
But that's because like the atmosphere is good, and same thing with all powerlifting gyms that we go to. Like a lot of people aren't listening to music because the atmosphere is good.
Well,
that
that's
is the
it.
point.
It's also because the music here tends to be what everyone else likes to listen to as well. Like we do have a very common taste, but it's not like, it's when you go listen to, you know, someone that's in the gym playing Ariana Grande for, you know, the 8th song in a row. It drives you nuts, and you go, you know what I might do? I might chuck on some headphones, and that's why a commercial gym is very different to a powerlifting gym.
I just remember that, like, you know, Genesis when you can pick the songs.
Yeah,
And like Michael would always pick that.
I know when the Hold 'Em or whatever it was.
Yeah, that song every session, and
You
we're
knew
like,
he was there.
I'm gonna kill this guy.
There's like even that, like you knew he was there, and you'd throw your headphones on.
Shout out to Michael.
Well, now there's an old guy there, and he's a pretty good bloke. He just chucks on AC/DC and stuff, so I can appreciate that sort of stuff. Like it's just something you want to listen to.
It's good to train to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also find like everywhere here, there's in a powerlifting gym, there's more motivation. There's someone talking to you, especially a coach. Whereas in a commercial gym, it's just some guy talking about what happened on the footy, or it's just normal chatter and stuff like that. You don't want to hear anyone talking. Yeah, I guess you'd be mean. You're antisocial. But
Anyway, so let's push it all forward.
Yeah.
Next year, Bastian, or in a few days.
yo.
What do you want to strive for next year? Your first year out of juniors?
I probably just want to completely give up.
I believe that.
This
Juniors, that's
is
a
your,
little fish in the big tank now.
this is the end of your juniors.
Yeah.
You got 2 more days in juniors. How do you feel about that?
How do you feel? You come play.
I feel like
Show you how real men fuck.
I feel like I can't hang over the fact that I'm a junior on Anthony anymore. Now we're just in the same 120s. So I'd like to officially announce my super heavyweight. Anthony can't catch me if I'm 170 kilos in squatting body weight.
Yeah, I won't catch you on like body weight, but like I'll still get you on total, man.
There he goes again with the total card.
The total card's all that matters.
Sometimes I dream about this though.
It's like when
I want Bastian to blow out to 200 kilos, just
dude,
so he like pushes close to your numbers.
I've begged it. People are like, bro, I'm 200.
Like
I'm
200
squatting
wilks.
320. I'm benching like 240, and I'm deadlifting like 180.
There's some pretty good PBs to me, man.
No, definitely. I've got called out by a few lifters today, man. Like Sam Hall wants to like outbench me.
Oh yeah.
I fully support that. The dude is strong as fuck.
His bench wouldn't be far off yours, would it?
It's 182 at the moment, but he's going up in weight too. So I actually think that I told him we're gonna race. He's gonna race 200. I'm gonna race the 205.
Okay.
Whoever gets their first wins.
That'd be interesting.
But I did tell him that if he does beat me on bench, I'll just pull out what's your total?
Because he'll jump to higher 190s
next year.
He'll jump to higher 190s in that upper weight
Oh
class.
man,
Yeah.
he's gonna be. He's a fucking beast, man. And he doesn't
His
skip
bench-
sessions. His nutrition's perfect. He's gonna be like really, really competitive. He's a strong guy.
Yeah.
He's more importantly, he's super self motivated. Right, you can't floor him on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
He's the kind of guy who wouldn't miss a session.
no, exactly.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of lifters complaining about their programs too, Tyler. They're saying there's too many reps. Why am I doing 15s and 12s?
Embrace the 15s.
So next week they're all getting the M-RAPs all week.
Yeah, I was
As
like,
punishment.
we'll double it.
Yeah, no, I like called them about my story. I'm like, you're all getting like way more volume.
Yeah, your joints are going to be dust, son.
Yeah, because I heard Bastian Ferris made that meme about me. That's on
She
my
paid
Instagram.
me.
You look pretty guilty.
She
man.
came to me with a proposition. I was like, well, my meme skills are man needed. I will Photoshop. Was anyone unimpressed with that? It was great.
Give the people what they want.
So you start training again next week, right?
Yeah, I'll start training today,
I
actually.
hope you enjoy your 30s.
Oh, no.
I
I said like today would be a good day to train, just an easy session back, just to like ease next week. Because you just know there's going to be no easy first week. It's going to be right into it.
Well, to speak about the whole goals for next year, I'd like to hit that 700. Even if it's not to me anymore, like I think it was something that Anthony said a long time ago, was the same mentality he had when it came from going from a junior to open. And I remember him telling someone else the exact same thing, saying how it's not this big end of the world. You don't want to have to. You're not going to go out there and be the best. Like they got people out there in the opens who can be in their 30s, and that's an extra 10 years on you when you just come from a junior. And like I'm not like when I first started, I wanted to be the very best without the genetics for it, and that's a foolish thing that I realized ages ago. I just want to go out there and hit totals that I've been wanting to hit for a while, hit goals that I wanted, and just aim to get what I want, basically. So I don't want to. I don't care. Like at first, all I wanted was a medal, but I couldn't care about that sort of stuff now. I just want to. My medal is the weight on lifting. Like a medal is cool and all, but no one wants you shoving it in their face. But if you're sitting there training and you're lifting an impressive weight, people want to look at that. So it's not even like I don't care about a medal anymore. I care about myself lifting at this weight. It's more impressive than a bit of medal.
I can't tell you how many medals I've won, but I can tell you every single time I PB'd.
Yes,
Do you know what I mean? Like I don't even collect my medals anymore. Tyler's always like, dude, you got to bring them to the gym. Like, I don't know where they are. Like, where's your Worlds one that you got silver in like 2016 on IPF Worlds and squat? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but you remember those big milestones. You'll remember when you
definitely
have
do.
your own goal and you tick it off. You remember that.
Yeah.
You're not going to remember the one time you won gold at a local competition.
Oh, I actually don't. I don't remember.
And that's the
those
thing,
things.
right? And that's why
I remember the totals I got at that comp.
we're always saying you've got to be so self-driven to get where you want to be, because those things only pay out for so long, right? But then again, you know, you remember all this. When you total 700, you're never going to forget that because it's been a big goal for so long.
Well, like in speaking of that sort of stuff, like I loved the 700, but I remember when I defaulted gold and I was happy about it because there's no one else in my weight class, and it was then when I realized that wasn't impressive. It was the really good squat that I did, or the really good deadlift that I pushed through on that day.
So when you did 250 and 265?
Yeah, I would have said bench, but we know that wasn't impressive.
I remember that. I remember, like, again, and people remember that, right? Because they can see how much it means to you. Remember that 265 deadlift, man, and he's like, come up, he's hit the knees, and it's like almost stopped. And I'm like,
watch the video,
and I think I remember going down, like just don't. He's just like, he's like face is like purple, his tears coming out. It's like, and then he locks it out, and I was just like, no way, he just he ground through that. And I remember I actually thought you were gonna die afterwards.
For anyone who hasn't seen Bastian lift, I reckon he has one of the best hypes.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah,
everyone loves
hands down, and everyone knows. Everyone's like the Viking Bastian. And yeah,
Very calm.
you know what? You have
yelling everywhere.
you have an amazing ability to get emotional and angry by the deadlift, where I'm just burnt. I'm like, I'll just go out there and try lift it.
Well, what I've had to start doing is like being real calm for my first, second attempts, and then bench I don't even hype now.
Yeah.
And then
But
because it's so technical.
We figured out it's too
That was
technical
something you
for
told
hype,
me
though,
at
yeah.
the start. Don't hype for bench. It's too technical. Like there's no.
Yeah.
You're not going to sit there getting angry, yelling while you're.
Let's go lay down.
It's something that we figured out, like, especially for myself, was I went for a 137 bench and I hyped up for it. I missed it. Then I went into it calm and hit it. And I was like, oh, well.
you got to think about bench. And it also, you should always chalk your butt. It helps you get extra.
Do not chalk your ass. I'm so sick of it. You know what happens? Well, one, nothing. Nothing good. But if your ass comes off the bench a little bit, it's still in contact, but they see the white, they might take it as sunlight, you're going to get red lights, even though your ass didn't come off the bench.
Yeah.
Also, you got some weird fucking person touching your ass, like, yeah, we need to chalk those glutes. That's why I always chalk Tyler's ass all the time.
We're not doing it to help my bench. Like, my ass is barely touching the bench. So.
Yeah, like your ass, shut the fuck up, Bastian. Chalking your ass. Chalking your ass. You know, nobody that benches big chalks their ass.
But yeah, you know, something I appreciate with both you guys, and I guess all of us, is we're all looking to total, like these milestone totals where it's not individual lifts anymore. For once upon a time, for you, Anthony, it was big individual lifts. Now it's all total.
Fuck about individual.
Total.
Yeah.
I don't care how the split up is.
Yeah, now
especially
it's like
bench. Bench is the last thing we wanted, and now
all I want is 900, and I don't care how I get that.
Yeah, it's like whatever.
I don't care if it's 340, 200, 360. I don't care if it's 350, 350.
Whatever combination.
You're looking at it from more of a sports angle as well. Like, because you're looking at how to get there, not what's like.
As soon as you rely on one lift and you miss it, then you're out.
You're screwed.
You need to be, and that's the thing. That's what people need to like. It's all good to be a specialist, and that's awesome. And especially when you get guys like Jen Thompson, it just separates her from the pack so much because she's out benching everyone by so much. But most of the time, man, when you sandbag your squat a bit, you sandbag your bench a bit, and then you go out there and you try to go for the deadlift, and you miss your third, well, you're out of the game because you're relying on a massive third deadlift.
Yeah, like a 20 or 30 kilo jump.
No, it's one at the end too. Like it's a
but it's not even say you did it with squat though, right? Like and this is the thing. The reason people aren't good when someone says, "I'm not good at bench," and even if they don't have the leverages for it, and that you can see why, because they're going to their bench training half-assed, and they're like, "I'm just going to do this bench training." They don't get it with any intensity. They don't care if their form breaks down because they just don't give a fuck at that point, right? And then their form goes to shit. They half-ass the accessories, half-ass the main work, and their bench doesn't go anywhere. And then as soon as they train it, start training it seriously like a real lift, it jumps up. We had that with one lifter here. No bench, and they trained it hard, but they did not train it like they trained the squat and sumo.
Yeah.
Squat and deadlift.
Yeah, I'm like, that's very specific.
Yeah.
You know who you
but
are.
then as soon as we added in some like higher intensity work and that, their bench shot up, and I don't think it was only because of the slingshot and everything. It would have been...
that's one or two people now.
I use the slingshot now.
To guess who, guys.
But it would have been, because they treated it with more conviction.
Yeah.
Right? Because they actually had to lift heavy on it. I love him. I really do. He's an awesome human being. But that's just an example. It's a fact. When you don't like a lift, you don't train it as hard, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Well, an example of that was like me and Bastian.
Deadlifts,
I think
mate.
both me and you, we didn't squat much. But then now squat's now one of our best lifts.
I remember I liked squatting and I loved deadlifts, but I hated bench. But you loved bench.
Who?
Tyler loved to bench, man. I hated it. I thought it was the most boring thing, because I wasn't good at it.
Because you weren't good at it, and that's like I motivated you to bench a lot.
Yeah.
But then now your bench is like jumped up massively.
Yeah, like
and it's actually.
I went from liking squatting and deadlifting and loving my squats a lot more.
Would you say it's relative to your deadlift and squat now in terms of its strength, or it's getting there? It's not quite there, but it's getting there.
Well, since it's 100 below those lifts, I don't know.
No, but
it's definitely
but your bench is never going to be as big as your deadlift and big as your.
Have you experienced some technical problems? Is that all right?
Some, technical issues.
I saw it. And I had no way.
We'll find out soon.
Sorry,
guys.
Not that I could. I was going.
I'm sure that didn't sound good on the ears.
I was like, where are you even going?
It wasn't going anywhere. He went up in the chair. Took it.
Yeah, going back, I think your bench is now like more relative. And that's because you just consistently kept training it. And I guess like for the listeners, it's like don't give up on a lift that you think is bad for you. You think you have bad leverages.
Oh mate, the fact that we did the cube, I think a minimum of 4 times, and I got stuck at 97.5 kilos every single time and couldn't hit 100, even for a touch and go.
And the biggest problem with that is just like it's because it's not.
The training for that was incorrect for me as well.
It's a broad. It's a broad program that's not suitable for everyone.
Oh no!
Other people have different weaknesses. So it worked well for me, but then for you didn't progress much off it. But then other programming you've done obviously more recently.
The biggest thing as well during when Anthony was coaching me was my position on the bench where I was gripping the bar, because we went from like when I started a new program. It was the exact, it was sort of like the exact same percentages that he wanted me to hit, but because I had changed my grip, the whole thing was easy. I paused every single rep, even the touch and goes, just because I was like, I need to make this a little bit harder, because we went at a sort of stage, because I didn't know if I had the strength there, but for some reason I was hitting it and I was enjoying it more, and then that's when the gains really started coming. That's when I hit 140. And then from 140, I started putting on more than I had in the first year and a half, if not 2 years. So
self-discipline, it's good.
All right, I'm keen to train, and this has gone on for a while.
Yeah.
So as long as you boys are happy.
I think, if we were to summarise, so training partners, if you don't have the atmosphere, the gym atmosphere, training partners is a great way to keep motivated. And to obviously get out of that social media hole if you have no one to train with, podcasts or something 100%. Along those likes.
Good music. Just before we leave you, Bastian, tip for new lifters. Your top tip for newer lifters, or lifters in general, can be either. Besides, get coached by me.
Don't think running on a treadmill and watching someone else is a good way to mimic it at all, because it's not. Nah, a good way for training is definitely, the biggest thing is ask somebody. The worst thing you can do in a gym is not ask someone you don't know. If you don't know something, you just go ask them. You'd be surprised. Someone else, they don't have to coach you or anything like that. It just helps to know how to do a lift. And one of the biggest things as well was probably, if you're not sure, don't try to even hurt yourself. Just try to study it if you can. There's so many informational videos by actual coaches out there that it's very minor. It's not the best way of doing it, but it's better than hurting yourself. And if you're a new lifter, get coached by Anthony Krisner. And Tyler Seabrook, sorry.
And it goes back to that whole, I forget what I was going to say now. Everyone is going to know something you don't.
100%.
And that goes, if you don't know something, and there's a guy in the gym who's been training for 10 years, who's not a coach, but you know what? He knows something you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they'll finish that up with everyone have a safe New Year. Don't drink too much. And don't go off program.
Happy New Year.
Don't do both.
Don't do backflips off a truck.
Just remember, you're not going to wake up a different person on January 1st than you passed out at. And if you make the first earlier that morning, you're going to be the same person, is what I'm saying. So you've got how many days till 2019? 3 days?
2 days?
3 days for 2019. Or after this, it'll be 2 days.
Yeah.
Right, well, get your shit sorted today. It's a Sunday. Put everything in place by Tuesday. Don't try to do everything by Tuesday. It's 2 days. At the moment, you're like, it's only 2 days, I'll wait. Well, that's also 2 days extra you're going to have it doing what you need to do. Don't wait. Be safe. Be smart on the roads. Don't go on your phone. Listen to a podcast or something while you're driving. Maybe the Apex Strengthcast. And we'll see you next year.
Thank you very much. Me, guys. I love you, Bastian.